Hey guys, this is Eckhartsladder. Hello and welcome to another EcksToo video. Today we'll be talking about Star Wars Squadrons and whether you should use your hard-earned money to pre-order the game. And on that note, before we begin, it is important to know that Star Wars Squadrons is not a full-price AAA game. Instead, it's $40, a bit of a discount, but I think especially when it comes to game companies, it's very important to be careful with your money. Even if it is just $40, that's a lot of money. Anyway, you also have to be careful because, as you guys know, I'm an EA game changer. I do have somewhat of a relationship with EA. They don't pay me to say nice things about video games. I'm under no obligation to say nice things. You can watch my story review of Battlefront 2. But still, it's always important to know the relationships between the people who talk about games and the people who publish them. With that being said, my recommendation for Star Wars Squadrons is sort of a complicated one. Generally, when it comes to almost any video game, my recommendation will be not to pre-order the thing, because it's just not worth it. There's almost always very little to gain when it comes to pre-ordering a game, but comparatively a lot to lose, mostly your hard-earned money if you buy something that you don't like. It's usually better to just wait until the game comes out and you can watch the reviews of someone you trust, or play the game at a friend's house, or just watch some footage from your favorite streamers. I really only have two exceptions to this, and one is really theoretical. If a game offers you a pre-order bonus so good that you're really losing out by not pre-ordering and you think you're definitely going to like it, in that case, maybe pre-order it. That's never happened to me before. But also, if it's a game series that I really love and that I know I'll eventually be purchasing regardless of what the reviews say, that there's nothing really that will change my purchase, then I'll often pre-order, because whatever small bonus is there is at least good enough to warrant a purchase. And I'll come back to this point in a bit. When it comes to pre-order bonuses, if I'm being honest, Star Wars Squadrons does not offer a lot, which I think is consumer friendly because it's not trying to push people into buying the game early before full reviews are out. Based on what we know, each faction is only getting a single skin for pre-ordering, and it's quite possible that these skins will be earnable within the game itself. Even if they're not, I don't think these are the nicest skins in the game. They're not ones that everyone's going to be clamoring to have. So my point is, if you don't pre-order, you're not really missing out on a whole lot, which is really good. There's also the fact that just practically a lot of the conditions which made pre-ordering popular in the early 2010s and the 2000s just don't exist anymore, at least for a lot of people. I buy almost all of my games digitally, so there's no concern about stock or whatever else. It's not like with Halo 3 where I had to be in there for the store at midnight, because if I didn't pre-order that game and wait in line, it probably wouldn't be there the next day and I'd have to wait a few days. On the other hand, I will say pre-ordering typically does give you the benefit of being able to download a game digitally in advance, so that is nice and a serious consideration for people with slow internet. So with all of that said, basically the fact that pre-orders aren't that useful anymore, and Star Wars Squadrons just really does not offer a whole lot of incentive to pre-order, I nonetheless will still pre-order the game, even knowing that I'm probably going to get it for free as part of the Game Changer program. Why is that? Well, I think it's important to support things that you enjoy. I've made so many videos on Star Wars Squadrons, not just because it's good for the channel, although it is, but because I would love nothing more than to see this game flourish. I've spoken to Ian Fraser, who's the lead dev on Star Wars Squadrons, and this game was an absolute passion project. It was made by devs who started making it for fun, basically. They weren't initially even planning to sell the game, but something really cool came together. And I've played the game personally. I've spent hours with it. I know that I will like it. There's no condition where I won't buy the game, where I won't spend that $40, so for me, it's worth pre-ordering. I'm supporting this game not just because I like the game so much, but because I also think it's really important, especially in the video game industry, which is going downhill in a lot of ways, to support consumer-friendly practices. And although publishers and developers don't get more from a pre-ordered game, at least based on my knowledge, they do hold those numbers up as symbols of support. Now, you don't need a pre-order, but I do think it does help send a message that we want to get games like this, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was sort of like Squadrons in a lot of ways. It was a niche game, albeit less niche than Star Wars Squadrons. It was a pretty big divergence from what came before, and most notably, a lot of people don't talk about this, but it is very consumer friendly. It's very rare that we get a modern game with no microtransactions, and more than that, we even got a free update for Jedi Fallen Order, which is even more rare, especially given the fact that it added completely new modes. I desperately want to see the game do well, not only from a selfish professional perspective, but also because I think it would be really cool to show EA and to show the video game world that there is room for more Star Wars games. And more than just that, if this game does well, that's really our only chance for post-launch content, because they did make sort of a traditional game with Star Wars Squadrons. Everything they planned will ship at launch. However, we all know if the game does exceedingly well, that there is the chance for more content, whether it's that B-Wing you guys have been clamoring for, more maps, more game modes, whatever else. So I've played the game, I've decided that there's no way that I don't spend those $40, a little more when you take the Canadian conversion, to buy Star Wars Squadrons, and really you just have to make that decision yourself. But you don't have that information. You don't know that you will love Star Wars Squadrons as much as I do, because you haven't played it. Maybe you trust my opinion enough to make that leap, but just generally think for yourself. Is there a condition or a review bad enough upon launch that you wouldn't buy this game? If so, then maybe just hold off. You're really not losing anything, the skins aren't that great, and you get the added benefit of being able to see the reviews of this game as they come out. That sort of leaves just one question, I guess. Is EA, as a company and a publisher, so evil that we should not support Star Wars Squadrons, that we can't trust them to deliver the game that we expect them to, or just that there's going to be some nefarious secret hidden within the game like there was with the launch of Battlefront 2? Well, first of all, to be clear, EA is, rather than a developer, they do provide development support, but generally what they do is help with getting the game out there. I think EA has made some major strides towards atoning for their past sins. We saw that with the sort of second life of Star Wars Battlefront 2, and as I mentioned, with Fallen Order. Despite the comments I get in every single video, they've already promised that there will be no microtransactions in this game. Everything we get at launch, which I actually wish we had a live service model, but that's a discussion for a different day. EA does have a sort of ugly corporate face that has showed itself in the past, but I'm not worried enough about that appearing to mess with this game in any way to hold off pre-ordering if that was the only thing keeping me from doing so. But guys, that's just my take. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Are you planning on pre-ordering Star Wars Squadrons? Have you already? How successful do you think this game will be? And is there any chance that it blows up enough for there to actually be some post-launch support? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments, and whether you'd be okay with any post-launch support actually being paid. EA promised no microtransactions, but if it meant getting new content, I would be happy for them to introduce something as long as it didn't interfere with the heart of the gameplay. Before I go though, I will take 1 second to plug the EcksToo Patreon. We've recently started a channel over here for EcksToo with lots of amazing rewards, including exclusive merch that you can't buy traditionally, a guaranteed entry into the various game nights we run on this channel, including Empire War Playing with Fans, a drawing of yourself in the style of the EcksToo avatars, and more. All patrons, regardless of level, even if you just donate a couple of bucks, will also get access to the EcksToo newsletter. I'm really looking forward to see how that comes together. I think it's going to be an interesting mix of just all the BS that happens on this channel with maybe something fun and thoughtful in there. We're still finalizing the form, but I think it'll be a fun way to sum up what's happened in the community in the past month. So rewards should start shipping out in the next few days. So if you want to get in on the EcksToo Patreon rewards for August, make sure you check the link in the description and up to the top right of the screen there, and also in a pinned comment. I'm going to be putting it everywhere. Anyway, until next time guys, have a good one. Be safe, and as always, may the Force be with you.